Even some Democrats are now calling on Jay Powell at the Fed to begin cutting rates. Watch this.
From our side, we'd love to see the rates go down. And I've heard from a number of my colleagues on the other side, we'd love to see the rates go down.
I talked to a lot of members.
Pretty unanimous.
Well, senior counselor to the Treasury Secretary is Joe Lavorgna, and he's joining me now. The pressure on Powell is enormous from all sides, including the president. In your opinion, when should he cut rates?
I would say, Stu, that the president has been very clear on his views, and he's articulated it quite well, so I'll leave him to talk about monetary policy. But what I can tell you is the inflation numbers, as you know, have been excellent. Not only have they not had any tariff effect, they've actually decelerated. We're running year-on-year headline inflation basically at the lowest level since just after President Trump left office back in early 21. So the inflation numbers have been great. There's no tariff effect. And most importantly, Stu, we're getting the OBB, the One Big Beautiful Bill, will be hugely additive for investment spending. That will push down interest rates as inflation moves lower, as the supply side part of the economy expands. So that'll be very good for market-determined rates. So we're very optimistic on the outlook.
And now President Trump says it is Jay Powell who created this unfortunate situation because he's too late with everything, and that he created, give us inflation and then failed to act on the inflation. Do you think that Powell should have any blame here?
Well, what I could say is that the markets, the fixed income markets, they're broad and deep, do look for interest rates to come down over the next several quarters. And as I said, when the bill is soon passed, the One Big Beautiful Bill, that will be disinflationary, and that will be, so you'll get very strong growth, low inflation, very symptomatic of President Trump's first term, and then market rates will come down. And that ultimately is what will matter most. As you know, that mortgage rates are set to the 10-year Treasury. 10-year Treasury rate has come down significantly from where it was earlier in the year. Despite many of the pessimistic calls that rates are going to go up, rates have come down. Mortgage rates are being pulled lower. You've got near record high equity prices. You've got falling energy. So all those things will become very cash flow positive to U.S. households. And those long-term market rates moving down will help. And then we'll see what the Fed does.
You know, we talked to a lot of economists and analysts on this program, and the one thing that they've not been talking about for a couple of weeks is the trade deals. Where are the trade deals? And is it a negative for the market and the economy if we don't hear anything?
No, there's negotiations continuing, making very good progress. And where the uncertainty lies right now, or where it's lied, or late, I should say, is really on the bill. The bill will get done, and that will give a measure of clarity and certainty, because as you know, there are a lot of programs, incentives that are retroactive back to Inauguration Day, and companies want to know what the tax structure is like. If we don't get the bill done, then you're going to have a record increase in taxes next year. The economy is going to tip over, and that's really where the uncertainty is. So we're making good progress on the trade. The bill will get done, and that will then codify and give companies that extra incentive to invest. And that's why I think you saw the equity markets in the last few days basically make close to record highs. Yep. I mean, the NASDAQ 100 made an all-time high. That's very capital intensive. Yep. So that's all very positive.
All right, Joe Lavorgna, thanks for joining us this morning. All good stuff.
Thanks,
we appreciate it. See you again soon.